Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today we're going to be jumping down into the world of Vechain, taking a look at the most recent price action, what's been going on and where I think things are heading next. As I get into today's video, if you do find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Now, if you have not yet joined us in Discord, what are you waiting for? Check it out, linked in the description below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there, so why not go ahead and check it out. Let's jump right down into today's video, keep it nice and brief and on point, but give you everything I think you need to know about Vechain's price action. Starting things off with the 1 hour time frame. So here we have VET paired up with USDT. We're using the mixed contract on BitGet for this one. So we saw Coinbase list Vechain. It was about time. I don't know why it took them so long, but they finally got there. And we did see a really good break to the upside. Again, this isn't so much about the initial kind of pump that you get when you get a Vechain listing. It's more to do with institutional level investment, as Coinbase is often a custodian. So this actually is quite helpful for future price of VET token. So here we can see a 26.4% rally to the upside. Fantastic stuff. And we can obviously see that we start this break to the downside. Okay, so if I zoom out of this enough, we do kind of find ourselves actually hitting some interesting points of view. So the first thing I want to do is probably clean out some of these things, because we've had this break to the upside, right? And this broke out of the 5-wave bearish structure that we had. So fantastic stuff that we were able to kind of break out of the looming doom that was currently there for Vechain. So I'm going to go ahead and remove some of these structures that we had, but I'm going to leave the education down here for now. Okay, so we can see that we didn't quite complete that 5-wave move. We broke up, we invalidated all those patterns, and it is good. Okay, so the other thing that's interesting here on this hourly chart is you can see we have this kind of real big kind of cup potential. So there is a potential cup and handle in here. Okay, I don't like it. It's not neat enough for me personally, but I will kind of point out that it is potential for it there nonetheless. Let me show you what I mean. So we have up here the highs. I wonder if I can get it. Yeah, we go. And we have down here the cup. And then basically what you'd have is a handle situation over here. Now, the handle has to be much smaller than the cup. If it retraces more than 50%, then it's invalidated, essentially, right? The break for this would be a 1.618 move from here. So if I grab that high, if I can, which I can't without zooming in, grab the high, there we go, and we bring this down. So basically the base of our cup, which would be over here, and we'd have a 1.618 move. So that would put us at 2.144 cents. Okay, so it's an approximate thing. It's not going to be super accurate. I don't like cup and handles myself personally. I'm just going to go in here and make this a 1.618. There we go. And I'm going to remove some of these lines as well. We don't need. I also don't need this. So I'm just going to get rid of that. Here, lots of cleaning out to be done because we've kind of changed things out a little bit. Okay, cool. So we have this particular pattern in play. We know as well that if we were to retrace the 50% or more, then we are of course done with the idea of this. So we can't really come down lower than 1.635. Okay, so that's going to be our invalidation point, which is just below the 200 hourly EMA as well. Going to put that there. Okay, we'll get rid of the fibs. There we go. Cool. So now we have a bit of an idea as kind of what's going on. I'll remove those because they're just clutter. And we can see here, right? Equilibrium is also all the way down here. Lots of fair value gaps on this rally to the upside. It looks like we potentially are completing a 3-wave drop at the moment. So let's go ahead and just review that. Here we can see a little bit deeper. Minimum expectations have already been met, but we could potentially see a little bit more to the downside here on Vechain before we start to lift up a little ways. So again, we'll be targeting out between 1.675 and 1.695 to kind of complete out a 3-wave pattern. But as I said, we've already met the minimum expectations on this C-wave low. So it is what it is. Up here, we would expect a relief rally upwards, yet to be seen in the structure as to whether or not we are done with everything or whether or not we still have more to the upside. I suspect there's still potentially a little bit more to the upside to be had here. I just don't think it's something that we're ready for. This would basically be under the idea that we have a 5-wave pattern like this. If we were to adjust that ever so slightly into this being the high, then it would basically mean that we didn't have a decent wave count here, and I think actually this is more than likely going to be the correct wave count overall. Minimum expectations on the C wave were already met. Minimum would have been double top, so for the most part there's no need to come up a little bit higher, so I'll just be a little bit cautious there. It doesn't look like it has to, and the correction to the downside has put us into an oversold area on the hourly and 4 hourly though, and so for the most part it's looking okay and pretty decent. The fair value gaps to the downside do kind of give me the idea that we are probably going to have to come down here back to these lows at some point, because, yeah, well, fair value gaps like to get filled out, specifically at these levels. Let's take it up though. Let's get out of the hourly chart and move up to the daily. Here you can see that our daily chart has, let me get rid of that. We don't need that one. The daily chart has found itself, bouncing up quite a bit here. We have left a big fair value gap though. This is essentially coming in at 1.527 onto the high side at 1.584. Now, in this particular structure, we can't get too carried away just yet. There's two ways of reading the daily now. We broke out of that bearish structure. And the first is that we find ourselves in a B wave move to the upside, and then we're just going to be looking for a C wave move to the downside. I suspect that's probably what's going on here, simply just because we are in a bearish market overall and we are overbought on the daily time frame. If this is the case, then we suspect we still have further to the downside. Now, as I've said many times before, we still have much deeper to go on a different time, on a different pair. So this is still big yet, but if I take this over into a Binance, so if I come over to my Binance chart for Vechain right here, this is a Z wave move to the downside. Now, we've met the minimum expectations on this, right, on the daily time frame. We did meet the minimum expectations. However, I don't think we're done yet. I suspect we still have to come down deeper into the Z wave move before we can kind of mark this one off as complete. So in the zone, we came into it, but I still think we've got deeper, but more towards maybe 1.1. We've got cheaper prices, I think, for Vechain here. Now, we are still below the 200 EMA. We are still in a bearish structure. You can see with the break of structure of red lines here. Ultimately, everything on a Vechain here at these levels are bearish, right? We're overbought. We're in bearish structures. We're in a Z wave. We're below the 200 EMA. Although we're above the 50 EMA at the moment, which is good positivity, it doesn't give me the kind of the idea or the strength in this move to the upside long term. It just, to me, looks like we've still got a long way to go. So I think we're going to see another retracement, probably coming back down into the Z wave area where we look for more accumulation for VET. Okay, so interesting stuff on the daily time frame. It's not where it needs to be. I mean, we did obviously come into the range, but I still think we've got to come down into a new low below 1.318. So weekly still shows you this idea of previous area of resistance down here. This one basically is essentially between 0.00811 and 0.01065. This is where I think that Z wave is likely to kind of come back down towards. Obviously 1.1 would be the upper end of this previous area of support resistance. And if we come down here, this is where we're likely to find our B wave on a weekly time frame to kind of find the support and where we enter into the next bullish market. Here you can see that we had the kind of cross on the 50 and 200 EMAs. If I throw on the SMA, you can also see how bearish this one was as well. And so for the most part, we're below all of these moving averages on these larger time frames. We've had an uptick as well with the news around the Coinbase listing. We see an uptick on the stochastic, but ultimately we're further to the downside. But this isn't a bad sign. Overall, this is actually a good place to be because it's great accumulation. Even at 1.7 cent, it's great accumulation, because if I zoom out of this on the weekly time frame, you can see see where we're heading. And it is looking very, very nice and very healthy to the upside. And I suspect that we're going to find some resistance around the 0.618 and the 0.786 previous all-time high areas. But there's still that potential to move up towards the dollar and maybe even higher. $1.43 is a 1-to-1 ratio if we were to come down to that low side. Okay, and that's under a really conservative potential. So we're going to keep an eye on it. There's lots of fundamental things that are going on in the world of Vechain. So if you're not caught up, do join us down in the Discord server. Guys, I'm going to wrap this video up right there. If you have found it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.